Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Geeky Abhishek once again from here in Dallas, Texas, and today I'm bringing you the review of the OnePlus N10 5G phone. So this was launched in North America a few months back, and then finally they released it here in the US. They released it at $299 dollars, plus they were including the OnePlus C wireless earbuds with it. Within a few weeks of release, they have taken the freebie out and they have priced the phone to $249. So I just wanted to make this review for you guys to know that what are you getting on a $300 or $250 price range phone. So now let's take a quick look at what's the contents of the box. The phone comes in this pretty big box, and you find the typical OnePlus red USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and then you have the 30 watts wrap charger and some paperwork and the SIM ejector tool in here, and then you get the phone. So let's take a quick look at the phone from the back. You can see on the top you have the quad camera setup with the 64 megapixel main camera sensor. Then you can see the fingerprint scanner, OnePlus branding, and it's actually a glass black, at least it feels like it, or it could be plastic, I'm not sure, but at least the front I know it's Corning Gorilla Glass 3. And now let's take a quick look at the front. So you have the hole punch camera, and then on the left side it's the SIM card slot. It also holds a micro SD card. Yeah, I know, very unlike of OnePlus. And then you have the volume rocker. On the bottom, there's a 3.5 mm audio jack. Yes, you heard me correctly. There is a 3.5 mm audio jack in this phone. As you have the secondary microphone, you have the USB charging port, and then one of the stereo speakers from the bottom. This phone also does have stereo speakers. On the right of the phone, you just have the power button, and on the top of the phone another microphone. And then if you can see closely, let me see if it can focus, you can see the speaker grill on the top. Let's turn this on and see what's in there. So in terms of specifications, right, this has a 6.49 inch, basically a 6.5 inch IPS LCD display. It's only 1080p, so full HD, really a high refresh at 90 Hz display. It's powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 690 processor, which brings 5G capabilities to this phone. It has 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, once again, which is expandable with the included micro SD card slot. It's running Android 10. It's OnePlus customized version of Android 10, which is the Oxygen OS. In terms of camera, it has the quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel wide angle camera, and then a 2 megapixel macro and a 2 megapixel mono camera. Now, in terms of battery, it has a 4500 milliamp hour battery, and it charges very quickly with the included 30 watts WAP charger. Now, in terms of the build quality, I don't have any complaints about it. I think it's pretty good for a $300 phone, but it's missing some of the things. Right, it doesn't have the alert slider that you usually get on OnePlus phones. The buttons are tactile. They don't wobble or make any noise. They're pretty clicky. Seems good quality. And then in the front, you definitely have the LCD display and the fatter chin on the bottom. On the back also, other than being a fingerprint magnet, I think overall it looks really good. I wouldn't say, when you pick up the phone, you would feel that this phone is, a Galaxy S20 per se, but it doesn't feel cheap either. So it has a nice heft. So I think OnePlus did a good job in making this mid-range phone feel more like a premium phone than a mid-range phone. Now let's talk about the camera performance. I know it has a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel primary sensor, but that doesn't translate to the quality of the images that you get from this phone. So it is not as good as what you get from a $1,000 flagship like a Samsung Galaxy S20. It also has a 64 megapixel sensor. Now, the images that you would get from here is actually pretty standard for a $300 mid-range phone. There's nothing fancy about it. The camera, however, does have many different kinds of settings. So you could, it supports full manual control where you could set your ISO, shutter speed, white balance, and so many things. It also has a wide angle dedicated lens. It also has a macro lens. All of those uh, features you would get, but they don't translate to actual good quality. In terms of video, video is also pretty decent, or I would say it's average. So it is capable of shooting 4K at 30 frames per second from the rear camera, and it's capable of shooting 1080p at 60 frames per second from the front camera. It lacks optical image stabilization in both front and rear cameras, and it does have electronic image stabilization. And in the samples that I shot, I feel like while I was walking, they were usable, but the ones that I took while I was running, they were very shaky, and I don't think it was even usable. So if you are thinking of this phone for to have like a great camera with a quad core camera setup and a 64 megapixel, then I think you will be disappointed. But if you keep in mind that this is a mid-range phone and expectation, and you set your expectations accordingly, I think you would just do fine. Now let's talk about general performance as well as gaming. So with the 6 gigabytes of RAM and the Snapdragon 690, overall in the apps, you wouldn't feel any slowdowns or stuttering, and the 90 Hz display definitely makes the phone feel a lot smoother. But if you are a heavy gamer and you play a lot of games, demanding games, then I think you will feel less than optimal. So, I mean, when it comes to 690 versus the 765G, the CPU performance may be close, but when it comes to the GPU performance, the 690 lacks a lot behind the 765G that you find in the Pixel 4a 5G or Pixel 5. Now, for day-to-day, if you're not a heavy gamer, for day-to-day performance, you would do fine. You will also get an incredible battery life, 4,500 milliamp hours, and then the optimizations that are present in Oxygen OS by OnePlus from on Android 10, it's actually pretty good. Like I use my phone heavily, and I was not able to kill this phone in the entire day. So compared to that, if I was on my main phone, which is the Galaxy S20, I would have to charge it twice, if not sometimes 3 times, versus this OnePlus, which lasted me the entire day with the same amount of usage. So performance wise as well as battery life is pretty good. But if you are expecting to play, hardcore gaming, or you're expecting to do hardcore gaming on this phone, then you will see the games will slow down. It will miss a few frames and all that. But if you are a casual gamer and mostly use the phone for social media and other stuff, then you should be good. Now let's talk about the face unlock as well as the fingerprint unlock. So yes, this phone does support both. So if you're wearing a mask, you can use the rear mounted fingerprint scanner, which is like lightning fast. And if you're at home, you could just use your face unlock feature. So let's go ahead and take a look at how fast the phone unlocks. So right now the phone is locked and I touch my finger, boom. So as you can see, there's absolutely zero lag. It's almost instantly. The moment I touch the phone with my finger on the fingerprint scanner, it will immediately unlock. And the face unlock is even faster. So let's go ahead and take a look. See how fast? There is absolutely no delay. So if I'm looking at the phone directly, it's just like opens up instantly. Now I couldn't even see the screen where it's just scanning my face. So that's how fast the scanner is. Here it's locked, and you see how fast it works. So definitely, I love the way the fingerprint scanner works as well as the face unlock works. Now, the overall performance of the phone. So I do like the near or close to stock Android feel of the Oxygen OS. It is very fast, and it provides a lot of tweaks and built-in customizations that are missing even in the stock vanilla Android. But at the same time, it doesn't become overwhelming and so much modified as the Samsung One UI. But there is a word of caution. So even for me, who has been testing out a lot of Pixel phones with stock vanilla Android, when setting up this phone or looking for certain settings, I had to spend a little bit of time looking for certain settings because they are not the usual place where they are in stock vanilla Android. So there's a little bit of learning curve, but I would say that's not a deal breaker. I just feel like it's just in getting used to where the settings are on your phone. But everything is there, there's nothing missing, and it's very fluid, like all the settings, and there's tons of customization options. So I'm going to do a separate video where I'll go through the menu settings so you can see what are the different things that are present there. Now, overall performance or overall conclusions about this phone. So I mean, did try to like this phone a lot. It feels solid on the hand. I mean, compared to any other $300 mid-range, this is a phone which tries to feel more like a flagship, and it does have a nice heft. The build quality is also very decent. There's no complaints about the build quality. Also has expandable storage, 3.5 audio jack, which is very rare to find these days. So it has all. It also has face unlock as well as fingerprint unlock. So there's a lot of check marks that this phone ticks. But there's two things. One is the screen is a little bit underwhelming. It does get bright, but the colors, as you can see, looks a little bit washed out, and the black is not as deep. Usually for most of the OnePlus phones with AMOLED screens, their AMOLED screens are top notch, and this is an LCD screen. I can't blame OnePlus too much about it. It is just how LCD screens are. Viewing angles are good because again it's an IPS LCD. Now, the second most disappointing factor is the camera. Even though it has a quad core setup and 64 megapixels and lots of settings options, it doesn't translate into good image quality or good video quality out of this phone. So it's more in terms of gimmicks, I would say. OnePlus tried to play this role that look at this quad camera setup, look at the 64 megapixel, look at this dedicated macro mode, look at this dedicated monochrome mode. But all of that doesn't actually translate into good quality images. But again, we're talking about a $300 price range phone, so it's probably pretty acceptable for that. Now, what would be my recommendation? Would I recommend you guys to buy this phone? At $300, my recommendation would be a straight no. At $250, I would say I'll think about it. At $200 or less, I would say you can buy this, because I don't think you would be able to get any other 5G phone at this price range. But if you don't want 5G and you want a better camera and a better screen, then I would recommend go look elsewhere and even buy an older flagship, even if it is used, like a Note 9 or a Note 10. And I think you would get a much better screen as well as a much better camera on those phones. That's all, guys. That's pretty much everything for this video. If you found this video helpful and you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button. Also, help me out by subscribing to my channel and sharing this video with your friends and family and asking them to subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns or positive feedback, you can leave in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy.